This week on the Analog Circle podcast, could Microsoft be planning to undercut the price of the PlayStation 5? Nintendo reaches a new milestone. Sony shows off their brand new prototype PlayStation VR controllers. Could we be getting a brand new Prince of Persia announcement soon, and PlayStation 5 could have a feature that the Series X has? All of these stories can be found here and more in episode 127. I am your host, Kiaun Mitchell, and I truly want to thank you guys for being here for another episode of the Analog Circle podcast. Now, if you want to, guys, you can find the podcast over on several different platforms. It's over on Stitcher. It's over on iTunes or Apple Podcasts. It's over on Audio, man, wherever the heck you want to find it at. I say this all the time. If you just type it into Google, you'll find it over there. It'll take you to the YouTube or wherever, and enjoy yourself. Now, guys, I must say, I want to let you guys know, last week I had the honor and the pleasure of recording a show with Mike J. Shout out to you, brother. Cody Clark, shout out to you. Aaron from Game Enthuse, thank you for coming through. And Mr. Goose, we all recorded a show last week talking about Inside Xbox, and I wanted to just thank those brothers again for being a part of the show. Check it out. Now, guys, I must say, this week I have not been into much because I'm going to jump right into it this week. The only game that I've been playing over the last week is a game called Call of Juarez, and this is a game back from the 360 era. Oh, I'm skipping over something. Oh man, I'm skipping. It was no feedback this week, so my apologies. But if you do want to call in, be a part of the show, let your voice be heard, you can do that two different ways. You can either call in at 443-216-9934, or you can email the show, and the email address is the Analog Circle Podcast at gmail.com. Now, guys, for me, like I was saying, the only game that I had been into this week was Call of Juarez, which, like I said a second ago, it was from the 360 era, and I was just going through my backlog trying to, see what I could find, and that was one of the games that came up, and I'm gonna say, that game is really good. It holds up graphically pretty well. I will say the game is kinda difficult, because sometimes enemies will be shooting at you, and they blend in with the background so much that you can barely see them, so it's not a run and gun type of first-person shooter. You gotta duck behind cover. You got to be semi-strategic. I'm not saying you got to be, stealth mode all the time, but if you go in guns blazing, you will definitely get your cap peeled back. But outside of that, that's all I've been into this week. And with that being said, guys, let's go ahead and get into what we all come here for, and that is the gaming news that went down. So this first story harkens back to the original NES, where a lot of us made our gaming bones playing Super Mario Brothers. And since this marks the 35th birthday of both Mario and Luigi, I thought it would be fun to take a trip down memory lane. So we all know about the infamous Contra code, the up, down, left, right. Y'all already know, old school gamers, y'all know where I'm coming from. But did you guys know the original Super Mario Brothers had a code where when you died and the screen said game over, if you held down the A button while pressing start, you could continue in that same world you died in and wouldn't have to start all the way back over, because back then there were no save points. People think games are hard now. God dang. Imagine getting to the last boss and having to start all the way back over to the beginning. Those were some bad days, dark times in gaming. Some people say, they were the good old days. I definitely would never say that. Having to keep your Nintendo on all night, that was the save. Keeping the Nintendo on all night, praying that your mother didn't shut it off because it had the little red light on there where they would know it was on, and you wake up and then you got to start. Man, bump that. Thank goodness for game saves. Wasn't no good times for me, brother. But I thought that this was just a nice little story. Never knew this was a code. My goodness, I would have used it time and time again. Only code back then was the Contra code and Life Force. I think that had the same code. But let's go ahead and move on to the next story. Now, when Sony VR News, it was a new video that was shared by Upload VR that shows a prototype PlayStation VR controller that would enable finger tracking. Now, I would highly recommend checking this video out if you are a PlayStation VR fan, because it shows off some very impressive tracking, some finger tracking that is pretty much a 1-to-1 match. And we know that the PlayStation VR 2 is supposed to improve on everything the original lacked. So if this feature comes to fruition, this could be the start of something amazing. If you look at this video and you just see like I just said, the 1-to-1 match of how well this thing looks like it's going to work now. Now, keep in mind, the controllers are pretty big. They're bulky. They're hefty looking. Look like they weigh at least like a pound, maybe 2 pounds each, but I'm saying, since this is a prototype, I'm sure they're going to shrink it down. But this level of immersion that you could get in the game, actually pushing buttons or just interacting with the virtual world, whole nother level, brothers and sisters. I'm telling you, go over there, check it out. I think you would be thoroughly impressed. Let's go ahead and move into some EA news. Now, EA has officially announced that they will be doing a digital-only version of EA Play on June 11th, starting at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, EA said the show will showcase, quote, games through a live broadcast, community, content, and more, end of quote. So this is great. Once again, another publisher, they're stepping up to the table. They're stepping up and they're going to have a broadcast of a digital one, EA. Hopefully they show off some great stuff. Where is Titanfall 3? EA don't drop the ball on that. That is an amazing franchise. So for anybody that was wondering, what EA was doing, were they going to be at a show? Were they not doing a show? This is it, June 11th. Mark it on your calendars. It's probably a Sunday. I could be wrong about that, but I know EA is usually gone on, Saturday, I think. Saturday or Sunday. Who knows? I don't know. But this is great news. Let's go ahead and move into a quick news story. Now, for PC gamers, Halo 2 will be added to the Master Chief Collection on May 12th. That's what, tomorrow, I guess? What is the date of the day? Yeah, this is the 11th. Yep, tomorrow, PC players, you'll be able to play Halo 2 on your goddamn 2080 Ti's or whatever the heck you guys got. Now, real quick, now I have to U-turn back around to EA. Now, during the company's newest earnings slide, they gave a look at what will be launching between now and the end of the fiscal year, which of course ends March 2021. So they showed off the usual suspects, FIFA and Madden, and even Command and Conquer, which already have specific release windows. But the most interesting thing that they had showed was what was a unannounced project, which was designated as an EA HD title. And the publisher did state that they will be releasing a remastered game this fiscal year, but they didn't give a release window or what the game could be. Now, I mean, who knows? Could this be for next gen, a HD remaster for next gen, or are they going to stay current gen, or is it going to be cross gen? Nobody knows. We had talked about this a couple of episodes ago where it was a rumor at first that was circulating around that EA would be revisiting some of their older titles and possibly making HD remasters. And this could possibly mean that the infamous Mass Effect trilogy could be getting a HD remastered or remake version. How amazing would that be? Me personally, I loved Mass Effect. I thought it was a fantastic trilogy. I was not mad about the third game and how it ended. I thought it was fine. It was what it was. But for me, I would love to get a Dead Space trilogy, 1, 2, and 3. That's what I want. I mean, EA has such a plethora, such a huge back catalog of games that they could pull from. Who knows what we might see. So maybe on June 11th, when EA is up there doing their EA Play, how amazing would it be if they showed off? I mean, even Mass Effect, I would love to see Mass Effect in some updated graphics, 60 frames per second, 4K resolution. Who wouldn't want to see it? But I would also, like I said, like to see Dead Space. So maybe we get an announcement there and just to wet our whistle, wet the beak a little bit just to get us excited. And then we'll find out if it's this generation, next generation, or cross gen. Let's go ahead and move over to Xbox. Now, this actually happened over on Xbox Wire, where Microsoft announced that they will be having a show in July. Now, this is old. Now, I'm going to still read it, though. Now, they said in July, we will dedicate time to focus on the incredible games coming from Xbox Game Studios. A number of our studio teams are looking forward to sharing first looks at new gameplay, insights from development teams being optimized for Xbox Series X, and brand new game announcements. We cannot wait to share this initial look at what some of those teams are working on. End of quote. So, I mean, we all knew this. Aaron Greenberg during Inside Xbox, which we are going to talk about later. You guys saw the question. I know you did. We're going to talk about that later. But he did talk about, you guys are going to see us in July. We're going to be showing off Halo 5, Halo Infinite there, and we're going to, just blow it out basically. So this is great. I'm really looking forward to it. We're going to have a action-packed summer, my gaming friends. It's going to be amazing. Event after event after event. I mean, Jeff Keighley's thing is going from this month all the way up to August. We're going to have a god doggone buffet of doggone gaming news. So let's go ahead and move into the next story. Now, for months, we have been speculating the price of these next-gen consoles, but nothing has been concrete to this point. But one pretty big analyst has went on record during Jeff Keighley's, speaking of Jeff Keighley, Jeff Keighley's bonus round to say he believes Microsoft will undercut if the PlayStation 5 is $500. He thinks that they're going to undercut them. Now, this is coming from Mr. Michael Pachter. Now, I know what just happened right now. Your ears and all of your senses just perked up like, come on, Key. Come on, brother. Michael Pachter. Is this who you're talking about? We all know good old Mike P. He's had a heck of a spotty track record. Like I say, spottier than a Dalmatian. But we're going to get into what he said. Now, this is his quote. He says, Microsoft has a big balance sheet if they want to cut the price by $100 and subsidize the first 10 million. They will. So I think they're waiting to have Sony blink first, and then they'll reveal the price and launch date. It's going to be holiday 2020, so very likely in November, and very likely $400. End of quote. Now, last week we went over some numbers over there on the Microsoft side as far as Game Pass went. Now we've heard that they have 10 million subs over on Game Pass, and I can't remember those numbers right now because my memory is shot. Can't remember. But those numbers that I was reading off, these were huge numbers just based off of 10 million. I think by the end of the year, correct me if I'm wrong, at the $15 tier, it would have added up to like almost $2 billion a year off of 10 million subs. So maybe Mike Pachter, look, listen, I don't know what's going to happen. Nobody knows. But maybe with this these services and all of this stuff that Microsoft has going on, as far as that goes, maybe they're willing, like he said, 10 million, maybe they're willing to take that loss just to undercut Sony because they're trying to concentrate on the services. That's what we've heard from Phil Spencer time and time again. I ain't gonna say time and time again. I just heard it from him one time where he said that they're gonna concentrate on services and they're in it for the long game. So we'll have to see what happens. Maybe Phil, he does this and then all of a sudden, they're able to undercut. Who knows? But it'll be a very interesting time. And I do think it is also equally interesting that now this is still a rumor. Nobody knows what's going to happen. But the rumor is that Sony is going to be having a show next month, I believe June 6th. That is not a concrete date. Nobody knows. It's still speculation on that. Could be later. But I do find it very interesting that Microsoft is deciding to go the following month, which will be a first. Will Sony come out there and tell us the price point in their alleged June show, and then Microsoft comes out the following month and possibly undercuts them? That's always been one of Sony's biggest weapons. They never go first. They always let somebody else run over the hill and take all of the arrows, all of the gunshots, all of the gunpowder. They never go over the hill first. So with them possibly being put in that position, what are we going to see these two companies do? We know that it's a game of chicken right now. They're both in two cars that are about to collide, just waiting to see which one swerves to the side first. It's going to be a very, very interesting time, and I'm very, very excited to see what happens in the long run. Let's go ahead, though, guys, and move in to some Cyberpunk 2077 news. Now, people started to worry about the game having microtransactions in the game when the ESRB mentioned it in its rating that the game would have, quote, in-game purchases. Now, people started to harp on this because in the past, CD Projekt Red said the game wouldn't have any of those kind of microtransactions. So, one of the developers named Fabian Dalla came out to talk about this by saying, and I quote, "As we said before, Cyberpunk 2077 is a single-player game with no microtransactions. The ESRB info is based on the fact that expansions require the base game and are therefore treated as a purchase by the rating board." End of quote. So for anybody out there that thought that this game, Cyberpunk, CD Projekt Red's brand new baby, was going to have some microtransactions in it, you can put those worries to bed. It will not. It will only have DLC similar to The Witcher 3, and those DLCs were hefty. Had a lot of meat on the bones, I might add, with those. So, with that being said, ain't nothing more to talk about with this. Let's go ahead and move into the next story. Now, in more quick news, both Paris Games Week and TGS Tokyo Game Show has been canceled because of COVID-19. I don't think anybody's very, very shocked about this. I mean, so many different events have been being wiped off of the table this year because of the pandemic that is happening around the globe, and this is just another unfortunate casualty. But Paris Games Week is a very interesting one because over the years, that show has been gaining a little bit more momentum. TGS has been around for forever, but Paris Games Week is, to me, at least it was never on my radar until recently, and it was getting a lot of love. So it is unfortunate, but I'm really hoping the Jeff Keighley show, it'll keep us entertained. It'll keep the gaming news coming out. I mean, we're talking 4 months of straight gaming information, probably week by week. So, I mean, it's unfortunate if you were looking forward to these though. But let's go ahead and let's talk about Nintendo again. So this story is nothing crazy or super exciting, but I thought it was interesting that during Nintendo's latest investor Q&A, investment advisor David Gibson, who was present during the event, reported that a Nintendo representative said it was, quote, barely in the middle of the Switch cycle. No change to that view. So we see that Nintendo Switch, they have been around. This has been the 3rd year. And this guy said, whoever this representative was, he said that the Switch is just barely through the midway cycle, which means we could possibly see another Switch or this HD Switch or Switch Pro coming up in 2023, because we know that a report months ago, Nintendo said that they do not have any more plans to release any more hardware this year. So this doesn't necessarily mean that they won't do it next year, but if this guy's saying that they're barely midway through, I don't see, why they would do this. And just to add to that, Nintendo, they also revealed, now this is where the milestone comes in. They revealed that their official earnings, let me get this right. They revealed their official earnings, and they have sold 55.77 million Nintendo Switch units, outselling both the Nintendo 64 and the GameCube lifetime sales. So if you are having such a run, an amazing run, and just to let you know, the N64 sold 32.93 units for its lifetime, and GameCube sold 21.74 million units for its lifetime. Here you have surpassed both of those consoles in a quarter, I believe, of the time. So with that kind of track record, with you running on that high of doggone nitrous in your veins, what is the incentive to spend extra money on R&D to bring out a brand new console or a brand new handheld / console when you are winning and you're saying that you're barely midway through this console's life cycle? I think it'll be interesting to see what Nintendo does. We don't know what their plans are during the Jeff Keighley. During his event, we didn't see Nintendo's name on the list of those different publishers. So maybe Nintendo still does their own thing, but who knows? We don't know what the future holds for Nintendo, but right now they are winning. And I had asked that question, I don't know how many months ago, could have been over a year ago. Would Nintendo surpass Xbox One? Because even back then it was building up steam and momentum, and now here they are 55.77 million units later. Nintendo has been doing an amazing job. I know a lot of people don't rock with Nintendo, but Nintendo is the Disney of gaming. I've said it for years, and these guys continue to just put their mark on this Switch generation. It has been excellent to see. And this shows another thing, that you can turn it around. It doesn't have to always be doom and gloom for your company. All it takes is a few right steps for you to capitalize and be back on top of the game. Listen to those numbers again. N64, 32.93 million units. GameCube, 21.74 million units. And we know how the Wii, that went crazy, over 100 million. And then they had a huge drop off with the Wii U. And now look at them again. 55.77 million. Never count a company out. Let's go ahead and move into some Ubisoft news. Now, let's see. Now we're about to take, I definitely want to let this be known. We're about to take a hard left down Rumorville Boulevard. So take all of this information with a mustard seed of truth. So days after Ubisoft registered the Prince of Persia 6 website domain over on Reset Era, a user named Okabe, who is also allegedly a very reliable source, responded when a user was disappointed over the canceled Prince of Persia redemption project, where Okabe responded with, and I quote, "See ya in a couple of weeks," end of quote. Now, if you guys want to see the trailer, because this trailer was freaking amazing. If you want to see the canceled game, Prince of Persia Redemption, you can go over to YouTube and just type in what I just said, Prince of Persia Redemption, and look at that trailer. This thing happened over 8 years ago. And I mean, they had a cinema. It was like a mixture of like Uncharted and God of War and Tomb Raider. I mean, this thing had some super high potential. I would just recommend to the high moon to check it out, to just see what this Prince of Persia could have possibly been if they had continued on with the project. So we don't know what's going to happen. I mean, like I said, this Summer Fest, Games Fest or whatever is going to be happening all summer long. People have been asking for Sam Fisher to come back. I don't know if anybody was asking for Prince of Persia to come back necessarily, but I think it would be great to see him again. I think so. The prince drinking on the different potions and having a rewind button and all of that stuff. I think that they could make it enough of a difference from Assassin's Creed where it would be able to stand on its own. So we'll have to wait and see if this rumor does become factual. Let's go ahead and move into the next story, and we're almost done here, guys. So once again, Sony has been very quiet about any of the PlayStation 5's features, but due to EA's CFO Blake Jorgensen, he may have let one slip out. Now, this is his quote. He says, "This year, the phasing includes the effect of revenue recognition from the games we are launching for the current generation of consoles that can also be upgraded free for the next generation," end of quote. So in this quote, we see that he mentions more than one console, which we already know that it's already been confirmed that this is what Microsoft is doing with the smart delivery, with the Xbox Series X. But by him saying consoles, that leaves me to believe that they could also be talking about the PlayStation 5. And I truly believe that if Sony does not do the same thing, they are going to come under major fire. We will see what happens with this, but this is definitely a positive, I guess let's just say a hopeful positive that Sony will be doing the same thing as Microsoft. So we will see. Now let's go ahead and get into the final story this week, and it has to do with Mr. Jeff Keighley. Now Jeff Keighley is saying that it's going to be a surprise game reveal tomorrow on May 12th at noon. Now people have been going bananas over what this could be, so much so that people believe that it's going to be GTA 6. Are you kidding me? GTA 6? I mean, good grief. I think this is the problem. People's expectations are way too high. Sometimes you just gotta go with the flow, brother, and not just say, oh man, just going, but just crazy off of what you think it's gonna be. I think this is probably gonna be a AA game. I'm not expecting AAA. I have learned over the years, especially this generation, you gotta keep your expectations all the way in check. It's great to be excited. I'm always excited to know what's going to be announced, what I'm gonna see. But at the same time, man, I've been let down way too much. So I have made it a point to keep expectations very low and in check. So we'll see tomorrow at noon what this game is going to be. Anyway, guys, that is the end of the gaming news this week. Now, guys, of course, we are in the final section of the podcast where I have to ask you, the listener, a question. And this week's question, I know you saw it already, but we're going to get into it officially. So my question is, what was your problem with Inside Xbox? I tell you, after that show ended, I truly thought it was solid. I said, man, Microsoft has done a really good job here. Now, granted, like I said, my expectations were low. It's a Inside Xbox. Come on, man. We all know what kind of show that is. It's never been a AAA show. Everybody has always joked about Inside Xbox never living up to expectations. And I understand that people said they hyped it up, tomorrow the game changes. I was like, okay, Microsoft, okay, yeah. They definitely took a misstep. They might have doggone overpromised, but I don't think they underdelivered. I truly don't. People have been saying it was no gameplay. Every single trailer. Now, granted, it was a trailer. I know that's the key takeaway. It wasn't a sit down and play, Kiaun. It was a trailer. I get it, brother. I understand. But man, the only game that they showed out of the 13 games that didn't have gameplay was that doggone H.R. Geiger or Giger, however you pronounce that brother's name, from the Aliens and whatnot. That was the only game, Scorn, that did not have any kind of gameplay. So I understand that, look, in between, they sprinkled a little bit of gameplay into it. It wasn't a sit down and play. I get it. But I give Microsoft credit. What did you expect? What did you want? Let's go over the show real quick. I mean, look, they showed mature rated games. That was the one thing everybody has been saying. What's up with the kitty art style? Me included. Can't stand ground. Well, granted, seems like it could be cool, but darn, the art style, don't like it. I need to see Microsoft be more mature. They showed that off. This was pretty much all mature rated games. So that's a check mark. Then it was new IPs. That's the second thing. They didn't show off anything that was a sequel. Brand new IPs. We have been saying all generation, people, oh man, I'm tired of these same IPs. When are they going to come up with something brand new? I'm tired of playing the same games over and over and over again. They gave new IPs that was shown on the screen. And then the next thing they did, they showed Xbox exclusives. I mean, I don't know if you guys knew this, but the Ascent and Call of the Sea are exclusives to the Xbox platform. I mean, I don't know what more people want. People criticize the show, and everybody has a right to their own opinion. I mean, you feel how you feel about it. That's fine. But good grief, you would have thought that Microsoft went out there and they just put up a big 0 on the board. Everybody, oh, this takes away all of the momentum. Xbox is trash and this, that, and the third. And it's like, man, just a couple of days before this happened, everybody was talking about, oh, thank you, Microsoft. You're going to be showing off PlayStation games during this event. Thank you, Xbox. We'll be able to play them over on the PlayStation 5. And then now the show happens. Oh, it's trash. Man, it's just so much hypocrisy going on in these gaming streets, man. And granted, I have not been happy with what Microsoft has done this generation, but I can at least say, dag, they are trying. They are doing way more than what Sony is doing right now. And for people that say Sony doesn't need to do much, they are the market leader. They have several different games coming out before the end of the year. That is no excuse. None at all. Here we are, and I understand that nobody is behind. Nobody is off track. You know, everything is still on track. Usually we get the console reveals, the games, the price, all of that stuff in June. But here you have Microsoft. They're out here. They're doing their job. You know, they're being aggressive. They're trying to let us know as gamers, we're out here, we hear you, we're listening. And even just to that point, you had Aaron Greenberg come out not even like 3-4 hours later after the show ended, and he did say, look, we messed up. We made a mistake. Maybe we set expectations too high. We're sorry. We'll make up for it. It's like, okay, you're listening. You're out here. You're doing what I want you to do. You showed off new IPs with great art style, M-rated games. I don't know what you mother lovers wanted, man. I have no idea. So that is my question. What was your problem with Inside Xbox? If you want to be a part of this, you can do it two different ways. You can either call in at 443-216-9934 and let your voice be heard. Or you can email the show, and the email address is the Analog Circle Podcast at gmail.com. I was your host, Kiaun Mitchell, and I want to say thank you guys again for being here with me. Truly, truly mean it. Means a whole lot to me. I had a ball here today. Now, before we get on out of here, I want to let you guys know, always remember, it is not about the consoles. It is about the game. So until next week, when we do it again, brothers and sisters, you guys take care. Be safe out there. Bye-bye.